Okay, so hello everyone. Today let me show you my method of doing an oil change. Okay, so warning, this is my method or how I do it. If you wish to copy or emulate this method, then do so at your own risk. And however, if you do not, then that's your prerogative. So the first thing that I would do is to warm up my engine for 10 to 15 minutes, or if your car is already running, then let it cool down for a few minutes until it's no longer very hot. Okay, a couple things that we're going to need. We're going to need a floor jack, a couple of jack stands. This is, by the way, homemade. I've had this for years. Oil filter wrenches and a car creeper. Optional. You can always use pieces of cardboard. And also we need a receptacle to catch the oil. Okay, so this is just I don't know what you call this exactly, but I just made this, and this is from an old vacuum cleaner, the pipe. It makes it much more easier to get rid of the oil afterwards. Okay, so I do believe it's been 15 minutes now, so I'm going to turn off the engine. Okay, so now we're going to jack the vehicle up and then put it on jack stands. Okay, so now that the vehicle is now completely supported by the jack stands, now we can safely crawl underneath the vehicle. Okay, now so we're underneath the vehicle. This is the oil pan, and this is just a 14 millimeter wrench. So let's loosen that. Okay, so I do believe we can do that by hand now. Okay, so let me show you a much more better angle. Make sure that your hand is above the drain plug, so that when the oil oozes out, you won't get your hand filled with oil. Okay, so now that the oil is dripping into the receptacle. Okay, so as you can see, I've already removed the jack stand over there. I left this one, so now the car is tilting like so. Okay, and then after about a few hours, I'm going to tilt it again like that. I'm going to remove this one, but before that, I'm going to first remove the oil filter. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is move this fuel filter aside, just to give us more space to work with. Okay, just lift it up like that. Okay, so now we have more room, more arm room to work with. Okay, anyway, so I'm sorry about that. I thought I was recording, but I was not. But anyway, I managed to remove the oil filter with this oil filter wrench. The only problem with using this is it tends to put a dent. You basically destroy your oil filter, but doesn't matter anyway because we're going to replace this. But if you're curious as to how this is used, basically I'll show you. So just imagine that this is your oil filter right here. You just have to wrap this like so. Okay, reverse. You just have to wrap this like so, and counterclockwise. Okay, then you apply a counterclockwise force. Okay, so it's going to have grip on this, and allows you. But what I would like to do is I would tie a piece of rubber on here like that, so this won't come loose. Okay, something like that, and then you insert it in your oil filter, and then allows you for much better grip, so you can take the oil filter out. Okay, so while waiting for the oil to completely drip out of the engine, I'm going to clean this up as well, like so, with a sponge. It will absorb the oil that's remaining on here. I'm gonna keep doing that until there's no more oil. Okay, so let's clean this as well. This is the surface wherein the oil seal is going to come into contact with, so this really needs to be cleaned. Okay, so I'm happy with that one. Let's wait till next morning. Okay, so after about 3 hours being tilted that way and 3 hours tilted this way, I lift the car up again. So as you can see, there's still more oil dripping out of the oil pan, so I'm going to leave it like this until the next morning. Okay, so it's the following day, and as you can see, it's a very cloudy day, and I would have wanted it to be a very sunny day because I want to heat up the oil. As you can see, I place it on top of the roof right there because I want it to soak up all the heat of the sun, because as oil gets hot, it becomes thinner, and I want it that way so that when I pour it inside the engine, and then when we start the engine, the oil is going to get into the small places it needs to quickly. But unfortunately, the weather is not cooperating, so c'est la vie. So before even thinking of putting oil back inside the engine, never forget to install the drain plug again and also replace the gasket washer. Okay, and then the oil filter. Okay, so you don't need to put a Teflon tape on here. This is what's going to seal the drain plug. Okay, and when it comes to tightening down this bolt, basically just do it by hand. Just don't over tighten it. How would you be able to say that you've got it tight enough? You would feel it, some sort of this gasket sealer here being compressed, and once you felt that being compressed, as you can see, the gasket washer on this left hand is already, you see, it has been compressed. So that way, if you can feel that it has already been compressed, then you know that it's already on there tight. Okay, so now we're going to put the drain plug back, and as you can see, even after being left overnight to drip, there's still some more oil dripping, but it's okay. Just hand tighten it first, then I'm going to tighten that. Like I said, you will somehow feel the gasket washer compressed, and that's when you know it's already tight. I'm going to let go of the camera. It's very difficult to do this with one hand. Okay, so that's it. I can no longer tighten anymore. I felt the washer already being compressed, so that's enough. So that's it. You know, before we put this filter on the engine, we need to put oil inside of this. There are those who would place half or 1/4, but I would like to fill it up with oil and then just pour the excess. I do it this way because the oil that you pour inside of this will be absorbed, as you can see, will be absorbed. Much of the oil, the first oil that you pour inside of this, will be absorbed by the filter material. Okay, you see, it filled it up with oil, and then it began going down again. So much of the oil is being absorbed by the filter material. Okay, see, it's going to be absorbed again, and I'm going to keep doing that until it's no longer going down. Okay, so now that the oil filter is already soaked with oil, I only fill it with at least 1/4 oil in there. Now, if you need to ask why you need to do this, it's similar to like priming a water pump. You need to put oil in here so that when you install it on the engine, some of the oil here is going to help the oil pump working. If you're not going to do that, then your oil pump is going to it's going to be difficult for the oil pump to pump the initial oil that was below the oil pan, and your engine is going to run dry for a few seconds, and it's going to ruin your engine. So basically, you also need to put oil also on the rubber seal right here. This helps it make a much more better seal. Okay, so let's put this back on. Almost forgot one thing. Installing this, we no longer have to use any tool or an oil filter wrench. What I would do, I will just wrap this piece of rubber strip on here like so. It allows us for a much better grip. So installing this, we're just going to hand tighten it. Okay, so before screwing this back into the engine, what I would also do is put a little oil on here. It's like I've said before, it's similar to priming your water pump. This gets the oil pump working. Okay, so make sure that the surface is clean. Don't worry about a little spillage. So now we can put the oil filter back on. Okay, right by hand. Okay, see, like I said, it helps if you wrap the oil filter with a rubber. That allows for a much more better grip. You don't need to use any tool or oil filter wrench like so. So okay, it's no longer going there. That's it. Remove the rubber and we've got the oil filter installed. Okay, so now the next thing that we'll do is fill this up with oil. This is a D4D 2.5 diesel engine, and it takes up to at least 7 liters of oil. Okay, so it helps if you have a funnel, just much more easier, and it allows you to not to make any mess. And the diesel engine that I'm using, that I have been using ever since our family got this vehicle brand new, is a Toyota diesel engine 1540. Now if you're wondering as to what this means, this refers to the viscosity of the oil. The 40, or the number that is here, refers to the viscosity of the oil at 100 degrees centigrade, and the 15 refers to the viscosity of the oil at normal temperature. So as to the oil that you ought to use, well, I would say let's not complicate things about overhead cam or anything like that. Let's just put it this way: the oil that you're going to use will depend upon where you are located. So if you are located in an area that it is mostly cold weather, so you would want to have a viscosity that is lower, maybe 530 or 1535, something like that. Now as for me, I live in a much more warmer, even I would even dare say hot climate. So I need a oil with a higher viscosity in order to compensate for the already warm temperature. So that's it. So this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so before pouring in the last 2 liters of oil, what I would do is check for the oil level. So as you can see, it's now here. So most probably pouring in the last 2 liters of oil is going to bring it up to here. Okay, and as you can see, the oil is very clean. Now, as to the issue of whether you will use synthetic oil or not, then it depends upon you. As I think it's much more better if you ask the manufacturer what they recommend. Okay, so let's check again the oil level. So okay, it's almost full, as you can see. It's here, the indicator is here. So I don't think that we we only need to pour half of the last liter. Okay, so this is the last liter of oil. We'll do it slowly now and intermittently, every now and then check the oil level. Okay, so let me check. Okay, so we need some more. Okay, so let's check again. Okay, so we're almost there. I hope you can see that. A few more. Okay, so let's check again. Okay, so we're right on the money. So now we're there. We can remove this and then put the oil cap cover back on. Okay, just hand tight like that. Now what's left for us to do is to remove the jack stand below, and then we can start the engine. Now remember, when you start the engine, do not never rev it up, otherwise your engine is going to start dry and it's going to come metal to metal. So never rev it up, just let the engine start on its own. Okay, so I'll do that now. Okay, so the engine has been running now for at least about 10 minutes. I'm going to turn it off. Then let's wait for a few more minutes in order for the oil to settle down on the oil pan. And that way we can check our oil level and the quality of our oil. Okay? Okay. So now we're going to wait for a few more minutes and let's check our oil, because if you do that right now it will give you a false reading, because the oil has circulated inside the engine. So we need to wait a few minutes, at least about 10, maybe even 30 minutes, in order for the oil to settle down, and then we can check our oil reading. Okay, so now while we are waiting for the oil to settle down in the engine, we can now get rid of the used oil. As you can see here, it's very black, using the container from the brand new oil. So this is what makes it easier to get rid of, dispose the oil. Okay. Okay, now it has been 30 minutes. I would say that the oil has settled down back into the oil pan. So let's check our oil, and when you look at that, it's very clear. I don't know if you can see that. It's right here, so it's very clear. Let's check again. Okay, I'll dip it again. Okay, so the oil level is up to here. So we'll put more oil, just a little bit, but anyway, if you can see the oil is very clear. Now we've got new clean clear oil. Now if we compare that with the oil that we took out of the engine, okay, now you see it's very dark. So that's our old oil. We check back again. So now we got new oil. But anyway, before wrapping this video up, I would like to show you one last thing. Okay, so one last thing. Let us talk about how often do we need to perform an oil change. Now there are those who say we need to do it every 6 months. There are those who say we need to do it at least once a year. There are those who say we need to do it every 5, 10 or 15,000 kilometers. Now it will depend upon the kind or type of oil you are using. Generally synthetic oil tends to last longer as opposed to ordinary oil, but synthetic oil is much more expensive. So what I do is I would reconcile mileage with date. So if you can see here, May 30, 2020. So I'm going to have to either whichever comes first. Okay, so May 30, 2020 next year, or every 10,000 kilometers synthetic oil. There are those who say every 15,000 kilometers would do, but I would like to just leave it at every 10,000 kilometers. So the odometer is reading 50,031 kilometers, so the next oil change that I'm going to perform it at is 60,031, or May 30 of next year, whichever comes first. So anyway, that's it. That's how you change your oil. Like I've said in the beginning of this video, this is my method of doing it. If you wish to copy or emulate this method, do so at your own risk. And if you think that what I'm doing is bad, then that's on you. As far as I'm concerned, this is what I've been doing for years. I've been doing this for at least, safe to say, on this vehicle, since we've got this brand new from 2013, and from my other vehicle since 2010. So that's the method that I am using when it comes to doing an oil change. So anyway, if you like this video, please subscribe and like. Thank you for watching. I hope to show you more.